What's going on, everybody? Trev the Dev here, back with another video in the Madden 08 Raiders franchise. Today we've got a bit of a special episode, doing a year-end wrap-up, looking at some of our offensive and defensive highlights of the year, players of the year. We'll run through this is my personal opinion, we'll run through our offensive player of the year, defensive player of the year, special teamer of the year, and then offensive and defensive rookies of the year. So let's jump right into it. First up, we've got the offensive player of the year. This one should come as no surprise. I went with Dominic Rhodes on this one. There's a couple other guys. Even Russell had a good season, but really, no question for me. Dominic Rhodes, 1,300 yards, 11 touchdowns, over 5 yards a carry. Had that huge week at Minnesota where he broke the NFL rushing record, which obviously is also a team record. Didn't come close to any other Raiders records. Marcus Allen had a few great years back in the day. A couple other highlights, definitely that middle stretch of the year. Tennessee, Houston, Chicago, Minnesota, over 100 yards every game. That was his best stretch of the season by far. Kind of tailed off towards the end, especially when we made that playbook change. So we're going to see if we can't keep it up next year, pounding the ball with Dominic Rhodes. And hey, he's going to be our rock. Give him the ball 250 times again, maybe 300 times again, and see if he can't lead us to glory. So, watch this last highlight, see what happens here. Alright, moving on to Defensive Player of the Year. So there was two obvious candidates for this one. Really, it was between Michael Huff and Nnamdi Asomugha. And as you'll see later on in this video, the game actually chose Michael Huff as Defensive Back of the Year in the NFL. But whenever you tie Night Train Lane's long-standing record of 14 interceptions in a season, I think you got to go with that guy as your team Defensive Player of the Year. He really played well overall this year, locking down those number one receivers, forcing 15 turnovers, 14 of those were interceptions, had I think one or two pick sixes. It allowed me as Huff to really play more of an over-the-top type of position. So yeah, that's you see his stat line there. Moving on to the Special Teamer of the Year. This one also should not come as a surprise. I went with Johnny Lee Higgins for this one. Could have gone with Janikowski. He had a fantastic season kicking the ball as well. But again, whenever you tie a record such as the number of kick return touchdowns in a season with 4, I think you got to go with that as well. I also wanted to highlight him. He did have a pretty good season offensively. He actually led my team in receptions and reception yards, which was kind of surprising. We definitely leaned on him a lot, more heavily towards the end of the season, when I felt more comfortable throwing it to him out of the slot, and was able to adjust and beat some coverages there. So, yeah, overall, just a fantastic season. 4 kick return touchdowns. Yeah. Moving on to Offensive Rookie of the Year. Again, this one should not come as a surprise. We did actually have quite a number of contributors on offense. Higgins, as I just mentioned, Zach Miller out of the tight end position, one of my more consistent threats over the middle. Even Michael Bush had some good games here and there. But, Russell really showed why he was the number one pick in the draft. 3,000 yards, 32 passing touchdowns, 4 rushing touchdowns. It did throw a number of picks, but that's kind of what you're expecting when you're being aggressive. You can really see whenever we made that change in kind of style. I believe it was either the Denver game or the Green Bay game. He just took off. The last quarter of the season, around 1,000 yards, 11 passing touchdowns and a rushing touchdown. And yeah, I think we're in a great position moving forward with Russell. We just got to give him some more help. Look at the throw on the run. Defensive Rookie of the Year. Wasn't really anybody that highlight here. Wasn't really anybody that stood out. We only had actually a couple of rookies on defense this year. A backup defensive lineman and a quarterback number 35, and I think that might have been it. We might have had another player here or there, but the previous regime really focused on drafting offensive players, which is not really a surprise. But, 35, he was okay. Didn't really force any turnovers. He played on special teams as a gunner on punting, kickoffs, and, he was fine there. He moved him up to the slot. He did get hurt towards the end of the season, so, I can't complain with how he played, but again, it wasn't really any standout. He was just kind of a player in the system. And we'll see if we can't get someone a little bit more impactful next season. So we'll see you in the following. I'm gonna go through the stat leaders and awards and all that good jazz. So yeah. So we're here looking at the individual statistics. Obviously Russell, I showed him in the Players of the Year, so just a quick brief look at him. Again, he played well. We're solid with him moving forward. I like what Burt is doing. He's actually up to a 91 overall with progression. Again, Dominic Rhodes, not going to touch on him too much, already did. Michael Bush, he was good as a rotational back. Had some fumbles, we got to work on those, but down to the goal line, he's a big dude. I like our 1-2 punch going into next season with Rhodes and Bush. Lamont Jordan, again, he started the year as our number 1 back, but I really didn't like what I saw out of him. We might look to replace him as our third running back. I want someone a little, breakaway speed type of guy. All three of our running backs are very similar in nature. Justin Griffith obviously had a few goal line touchdowns. I can't really complain out of him. Good receiving fullback, but maybe we'll want to get someone better on blocking next season. We'll see. And then Jamarcus Russell has had a few rushing touchdowns, a few fumbles as well. We got to take care of that issue. Receivers, like I mentioned, Johnny Higgins led our team actually in receptions and yards and average. He's a big play guy, no surprise. He's a real quick dude. Zach Miller, again, another impactful rookie. Got to clean up those drops in the future. Had 11 of them. It's kind of a common theme for our team. A lot of players had a lot of drops. Mike Williams came on towards the middle of the season. I moved him up to the number 2 receiver, and he played really, really well. 35 catches, almost 500 yards, led our team in touchdown receptions. If I had to guess, if he played the full season at the number 2, he'd probably be around 50 to 60 catches and maybe even a few more touchdowns. Threw to the flats quite a bit between Griffith and Rhodes and had a few touchdowns. I also threw to Bush a few times. Actually, Griffith led our team in yards after catch, which is a little bit surprising, but both had a number of drops as well. Got to work on that. Travis Taylor, I think he was our number 2 to start the year. He was okay, but I like what I saw about Williams more, so that's why I made that change. Jerry Porter, we gotta axe him. He only had 20 catches and he had 11 drops. He just never got consistent separation. So, number 1 receiver option is definitely probably our number 1 thing that we need this year in the offseason. Michael Bush as well, he's a good third down back, more so for his blocking, but he contributed in the passing game as well. And we got a couple other guys, Ronald Curry, Lamont Jordan, and Doug Gabriel, not really worth mentioning. So, blocking, we had a huge problem with blocking on our right side. See Robert Gallery giving up 16 sacks. But, we had a fairly good rush offense, with our run blocking. But we need to improve in the future if we're going to be more consistent. Tutan Reyes, he stepped up. I don't remember who our other left guard was. Let me see if I can find him here. Paul McQuistion, he wasn't terrible, but whenever I signed Reyes off the street and slotted him into the starting lineup, I liked what we were seeing better. But certainly we've got to also upgrade the offensive line. No real standouts except for our right guard and our right side. I don't know. Point is, we don't have any superstars. We don't have any solid starters. They're just average at best. Defense: Kirk Morrison and Michael Huff were 2 stars, as well as Osma, but I already kind of talked about Morrison was all over the place in rush defense. You know, he even had a few interceptions over the middle, 11 tackles for loss and 109 tackles that both led our team. He had a forced fumble as well, and he had a pick six. I believe that was towards the end of the season. I can't remember exactly. Michael Huff, I was using him for most of the year. Obviously, he had a fantastic season, playing on the same side as Asama. You know, 3 sacks, 9 TFLs, 15 big hits. Not really a surprise. I like to hit stick a lot. 10 picks, second on the team, but double-digit interceptions is always fantastic. They say only 7 catches allowed. I'm not really sure about that. For safeties, that's a little interesting. 3 forced fumbles as well, and he also had a defensive touchdown. Again, I'm trying to remember when that was. I can't remember. Fabian Washington, he was third in our team in tackles, which is not a good sign. You also see his catches allowed, 71, which is just awful, especially because I basically benched him, removed him to the nickel or dime in the last 3 games of the season, I think. So we're not going to be wanting to roll with him in the future. Stuart Schweigert was a good complementary safety to Michael Huff. I didn't really ask him to do too much except for cover the deep middle or deep quarter, deep third, depending on the coverage of the field. You know, he had a few picks here and there, a few deflections. He also had a pick six, I believe. It might have been a fumble recovery for a touchdown, but I believe it was a pick six. So, no complaints here. He wasn't like the highlight of our defense, but he was solid. Asama, again, I touched on him in the Players of the Year segment of the video, so we'll move on. Thomas Howard, I was expecting a little bit more out of him, to be honest, but maybe we got to get him some more blitz packages. I don't really know. But still, I like his skill set. I just need to see something a little bit more from him in the upcoming season. Warren Sapp, excuse me. Warren Sapp had a great year, 10 sacks from the interior, which is fantastic. He's probably our most consistent pass rusher, maybe. It's kind of tough to say. It seemed like he got a lot of pressure. It's kind of the point. Derek Burgess also did not have a great season, at least not as well as I was hoping when we started. But, you know, he did control the line of scrimmage pretty regularly and freed up some pressure for our interior guys. Cornerback 35 there. Again, we touched on him a little bit. Sam Williams, he's pretty good in rush defense, but, you know, certainly I don't ask my left outside linebacker to do a lot in my defensive scheme. I kind of rotate him out whenever we're in nickel or dime package. So, but, you know, he was good at what he did. You know, he did exactly what we asked, and we weren't expecting him to be a superstar. Dwayne Starks, I believe he was our slot corner for the majority of the year. Played okay. I moved him up to the second cornerback as well after I moved Washington off that, and I think he played pretty well. So maybe, you know, if we can't find someone better, that's going to be his role next year. Cadell Sands also played, you know, better than I was expecting, if I'm being honest. Also freeing up Sapp in the middle to get pressure, and, you know, even 5 sacks for him. It was more than I was expecting. Tyler Brayton was probably tough to say between him and Burgess, but Tyler Brayton definitely had a lot better season than I was expecting. He had 9 sacks, and he also had a fumble recovery for a touchdown, but he was you know, a surprising standout. And then the rest of our team, you know, they're mostly just rotational players or special team guys. So no real reason to mention them. And again, Janikowski had a pretty solid season kicking the ball, 34 for 38. He was 58 for 58 on extra points. The only misses he had, I believe, were from 50 plus. So he was automatic whenever we were in field goal range. Also had a lot of touchbacks. That's a pretty good ratio. Punting, Leckler, he was good. Wasn't, you know, like the best punter in the league, but that's okay by me. Whenever you get a net average of 43.7, I will take that for sure. Higgins there, you see, with over 2,000 yards kick returning and 4 touchdowns. You expect them to maybe kick it a little bit less to them. I don't really know how the AI adapts, so we'll see how that progresses as we go. But a huge, I mean, this was honestly one of the reasons why we did so well. His 30.5 average is fantastic. You know, starting off a lot of drives with fantastic field position, which really helped out. Punt returns, nothing special. I don't really like to return punts. It's kind of tough in this game, so you know, he had a few good punt returns here and there, but nothing of note. Yeah, we'll move over here to the run real quick through the team stats, see where we're at. I don't remember. Yeah, we're 5th in total offense or total yards. Offensively, I believe this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9th in total offense. So we're pretty good on offense. We're up there in passing as well. Rushing, we're around middle of the pack, maybe top, right at the edge of top third and middle. So more teams had more rushing yards. Not surprising. Number 1 in points scored. Fantastic. Tied for, or I guess third in passing TDs. You see the numbers are a lot lower than they are in today's game. So also tied for 3rd in rushing touchdowns. Move on to defense. I believe we actually had, yes, the worst statistical defense. We were playing from ahead a lot, so I'd like to see that improve. But teams are playing from behind; they tend to throw the ball a lot. But we got to shore up our left side of the pass defense. We are the best against rushing, so I believe that is also telling. Teams playing from behind. So. Points-wise, we were around middle of the pack. But whenever you're number 1 scoring and you're middle in terms of points allowed, that's a recipe for success right there. Let's see, sacks. I don't remember where we're on sacks. Seems like we're towards the bottom. Yeah, towards the bottom. We got 37, so definitely need to see some more pressure. But we also had 35 interceptions and 12 fumble recoveries. So maybe it's a bit of a trade-off. I don't know. Third down percentage. We're again kind of towards the bottom here. We didn't have a ton of third downs, but that's an area we've got to improve on, which I think it will. Once we get a more consistent number 1 receiver, I think that's going to be the biggest thing for us. Had a number of 4th downs, but not a crazy amount. But we were the most efficient. So whenever I went for it, it usually served. It usually proved to be a good decision. Also had a lot of trips in the red zone, which is very good. 2nd in the league in that. 2nd in the league in red zone touchdowns, and up there in red zone field goals. I'd like to see those converted to touchdowns. But hey, we got 92% efficiency in the red zone. I will take that to the house every time. We're kind of on the lower end in terms of defensive red zone attempts. It tells me we had a lot of big plays that we gave up over the top. But we allowed, not too many touchdowns. Giants, man, they killed it. And our efficiency was pretty good. Pretty good. That's what you want to see. Only went for it on 2nd down, or on the 2-pointers a few times. So least amount of penalties. I got to look at maybe upping the penalty rate. But we'll just ignore that. Turnovers. I believe we had the highest turnover differential in the league. We didn't give the ball away too much, but certainly the number of times they took the ball away was fantastic. So we'll wrap this one up. We'll take a look at the awards, which is here. MVP was Willis McGahee. You see him having 2,200 yards. Again, the rushing amount in these games kind of get ridiculous. I also put Russell as 4th. I don't really know if he deserves that, but I'll take it. AFC, it's not too different, except for Russell jumps up 1 spot. Offensive Player of the Year, no surprise. The MVP wins Offensive Player of the Year. Hey, see, he's not even there for... Russell's not even there for MVP, but, he's there for... Or he's not there for Offensive Player of the Year, but he's there for MVP? Kind of strange. Dominic Rhodes was 5th in terms of AFC Player, or Offensive Player of the Year. So. Defensive Player of the Year, here's what I was talking about. They gave it to Michael Huff, actually. Not surprising. He had a tremendous season in rush defense and pass defense. Of course, I gave up a few over the top, but I don't know. I think I would have given it to Osmoth because he tied the interception record, but that's just me. That's just me. AFC, nobody else on our team jumps up, so. Offensive Rookie of the Year, not surprising. Number 1 overall pick, 3,000 yards, 32 touchdowns. Marcus Russell took it. AP and Brandon Jackson were 2nd and 3rd respectively, and Zach Miller, another one of our guys. So, kind of a weak year as far as offensive talent, rookie talent, except for our guys apparently. But Higgins and Bush also were 4th and 5th in the AFC respectively. a lot of big contributors on offense from rookies. So, obviously, not really surprised we didn't have anybody on defense because we really didn't have any defensive players. So, Patrick Willis, the beast, had those honors from the NFL, and Lawrence Timmons took the AFC defensive rookie of the year. Best quarterback, Peyton Manning. 4,000 yards at 94 passing rating, 64% completion. Those are all better than Russell's because of the touchdowns, but all these guys' rate stats were a lot better than mine. I actually finished with a better passer rating than Tom Brady. That's kind of surprising. AFC, easy everybody has to say. Best running back, no surprise at the MVP is also the best running back. You just see these guys with 1,700 yards, 1,900 yards, 2,000 yards. Rhodes is actually 5th in the AFC in terms of running back of the year. Wide receiver, we obviously don't have anybody here. Torrey Holt took home honors there. O-line, again, we didn't really have any standout offensive linemen. They gave it to Sean Andrews, who's a very good guard for a few years back in the day. AFC, again, we didn't have anybody jump up. Jonathan Ogden, future Hall of Fame. Best defensive lineman, Trevor Price, 61 tackles, 14 sacks, 3 forced fumbles. I'm assuming he had a couple tackles for loss too. The splash screen just doesn't show it. So, Derek Burgess, again, I don't really know if I would have put him up there. I guess they like his stats a little bit better than I did. But Sapp also was 4th on the season in terms of AFC best defensive lineman. Linebacker, we didn't have anybody. Mike Peterson had it. He had a lot of tackles. I'm actually surprised Kirk Morrison's not there for us in the AFC. Defensive back, not really surprising that Huff and Asama, who were number 1 and number 2 in Defensive Player of the Year, took home honors here. They gave the 4th position to Washington. I would have not, and 3rd in the AFC, but I've said my piece on favoring Washington. Best kicker, this one's also not too shocking, given how well Janikowski kicked, but there was some competition. Robbie Gould had a fantastic season as well. And Coach of the Year, whenever you go 15-1, you take home Coach of the Year honors, Lane Kiffin. So we'll wrap this one up by looking at the Pro Bowlers, see who we got. So we got Russell at quarterback, the 3rd quarterback, so that's 1 for us. Justin Griffith, the 2nd fullback, that's 2 Pro Bowlers for us. Let's see who else we got here. I'm sure we have a couple other guys. Yeah, there we go. Warren Sapp, the number 1 D tackle, 3 Pro Bowlers for us. Asamoah and Washington, again. And then both of our safeties, Janikowski and Higgins. So I believe that's 9 Pro Bowlers if I counted correctly. So some good stuff for us. We'll simulate these first rounds. I believe, if I had to guess, we would play the Dolphins, or if the Dolphins win, we play the Dolphins. Otherwise, we'll play the winner of the Chargers and Colts game. So we'll take a look at this round, see who we've got next week. Okay, so we are playing the Colts. We faced up against them once. It was a pretty close game. We were able to pull it out. So that is something to look out for next time. So if you guys enjoyed this one, be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. As far as scheduling goes, this one should go live on Sunday around 12. And then I think round 1 of the playoffs is going to go up on, I think, Tuesday right now. So I think the schedule will be Tuesday. If we win that game, the this is the divisional round. The championship round will go up on probably Thursday. And then if we win that one and we're playing the Super Bowl, that one I probably will do something on Saturday. So be sure to check out the next episode. We'll have a rematch against the Colts. So that's exciting. Our first playoff game of the year. It's the early Saturday game, so I'm looking forward to it. Hope you guys are all as well. So until then, we will see you all in the next video. See ya!